Hello. The next question that I'm answering is how to deal with conflict between roommates with an introvert and an extrovert living together. And that's a very useful question to take a beginning stab at an answer, because often you find yourself in a relationship with your opposite. So conflict management or conflict resolution between introverts and extroverts is a very important skill. So there's a couple of things that we need to be aware of before I can answer that. And one is that introversion and extroversion is a Jungian term. The Swiss psychologist Carl Jung coined the term for how we go about processing information. But it isn't the only aspect that he identified. He identified two other ones which are very, very important, and maybe even more important when it comes to conflict management and conflict resolution. So I'm going to have to talk about those, because you could be introverted or extroverted and have different thinking and feeling preferences and different sensing and intuition preferences, and therefore that's going to dramatically influence how you're going to respond to conflict. But fear not, I have a very, very simple model that will help us talk about that. So when I put this diagram up here, you'll see that I've drawn a spectrum of introversion on the one side, extreme introversion, and extroversion on the other side, extreme extroversion. And that's a kind of dividing axis. One of the other aspects that Jung talked about, which is very important with how one tends to deal automatically with conflict, is another function called thinking and feeling. And I'm going to draw it in here, because your combination of extroversion thinking versus extroversion feeling means that you're going to respond very differently to conflict than your combination of introversion thinking or introversion feeling. And those are the only two that I'm going to put on for the moment. And you'll notice that there's four colors that I've put on this chart, because the colors are used to simplify an otherwise quite complex model. So on this next page here, I have how all of the Myers-Briggs would map on there. So you see we've got thinking and feeling, introversion and extroversion, and then four that would fit in. But it's quite hard to hear somebody tell you, oh, I'm an INFJ, and then you know how to act towards them. It's useful to know what you are, because if you're doing personal development, you can go quite deep. But if somebody tells you theirs, it's really difficult for you to know how you need to adapt in order to get the best out of a conflict resolution situation, right? So I find it's much simpler to rather just think about the combinations of thinking introversion, thinking extroversion, feeling extroversion, feeling introversion, and simplify it down into four colors. So if you just pause there, you'll see